They won't teach their children to read or write. Let's have a look. Hello everyone, Florian here and welcome to another episode of HeiseSays. Grab your stein of coffee because we're going to go through an article about parents who are unschooling their children and who are proudly saying they won't teach them to read or write. Now, Rachel and I have 6 children and we homeschool, but we're both educated, we've both got 2 degrees each, and we've gone through the whole education system, so we appreciate the value of education, and we most certainly emphasize reading and writing. You want to get your kids reading because then they can learn anything themselves. That's one of the superpowers that reading is, so that's why we have an emphasis on it. But also, homeschooling gives you the freedom and opportunities that you don't get in a normal schooling system. And don't worry, the kids are socialized. Homeschoolers go to events and I think we've got a whole one day of dancing. We've got a stall coming up, all of these things. I can't even keep up. That's the whole, I tell Rachel, if it's in the calendar, it exists. If it's not in my Outlook, I'm not to be expected to know that it's happening. That's the rule. Okay, and it works really well. I recommend it. But I mean, they're out there right now building something on the construction site with plywood. I tried to get them to empty the trailer to move some sand for me for backfill, but that's not fun. They have to build a cubby house with ply and dirt. So, I mean, childhood, normal stuff. You kind of want them to do that. That's part of the benefit of homeschooling. But we also develop our own curriculum as well. And it all gets signed off and ticked off by the appropriate government departments, that type of thing. But for us, reading and writing is certainly an important aspect of education, purely for a selfish thing that the faster you get them to read, the faster they can, teach themselves things, to be honest. So let's have a look. The world is their playground and their teacher. Adele and Matt Allen are raising their 3 children with child autonomy, allowing their kids to set their own curriculum, bedtimes, menus, meal times, and chore lists. Okay, sure, yeah, no chance. No chance at all. I mean, okay. Our young children will go to the fridge, get food out, feed themselves, have a meal when they want. They'll do all of that. They're very independent. But I'm not going to let them set their own curriculum. And we're not going to let them set their own bedtimes. And chores, come on. What we do is we have a journal. Each of us has a journal, myself included, and the kids. And they get stickers. The younger ones get stickers with pictures for all of the tasks they have to do each day. The older ones have checklists where they check off. We want them to manage their own time. Today I was talking to Mina, our eldest. She's preparing for a little market stall. She's been sewing up a whole lot of products. We had to go to Officeworks and buy a little card tapper and all of these things. And she's saying, I've got so much to do in so little time. And I said, yeah, that's called life. One strategy I would suggest is to get up earlier in the morning before everyone else, do your schoolwork so you've got more time to work on your business. So you need to develop strategies to deal with these type of things. And these are all life lessons that you learn. And this is the strategy we're using to allow them to manage their own time and their tasks. But you want to guide your kids, your parents there. You're meant to give them boundaries that they can feel safe in, but enough flexibility to grow and develop. I think this is a bit idealistic, this type of approach. The Allens, who live in Brighton, UK, fully embrace the unconventional parenting style that aligns with their frugal and natural living habits. I mean, I completely agree with being frugal and natural living. Okay, that's fine. I mean, one thing with the unschooling guys, you may think about it, it's just stupid or it's crazy. Sometimes it's necessary for children, particularly if they've had a very traumatic experience in the schooling system and they're switching over to homeschooling. They may need just a period of time just to recover, because many kids can be traumatized, they can be bullied, and school can be shit. It really can be. So that's where this is often done as part of that process. And the homeschooling community is quite varied. You've got a variety of people in there across all the spectrums. What initially drew us to homeschooling was the treatment of boys in the education system. We were concerned with that. Anyway, we got into natural living before we had our kids, so it just became a natural progression that continued and began to affect all our decisions after I fell pregnant, Adele told Carters. The parents, who are both 39, don't trust the healthcare or education systems and have allowed their children, Ulysses 12, Ostara 8, and Kai 4, to make their own choices from a very young age. Now look at these gaps. Look at these 4-year gaps between kids. Now, I would, if they're all natural living, those seem like very organized and efficient gaps between kids. I wonder how natural living they are with their birth control or family planning, that type of thing. I just wonder. I'm suspicious. Or maybe they have much greater impulse control with natural family planning. Anyway, so their own choices from a very young age. We didn't do vaccinations for our kids, which people say is cruel of us. And we don't use the healthcare system. Instead, we use natural and herbal remedies, the mother of 3 revealed. I mean, I don't know why you wouldn't vaccinate your kid for tetanus. You know, for things like this, like terrifying illnesses that can still exist, still appear, that have been proven to be beyond safe. I appreciate why people are concerned, but there's stuff out there that, you know, you've probably been vaccinated for it and haven't had any issues. I mean, that scares me more than anything, guys. You know, forget the Rona or any of that stuff. It's getting lockjaw from digging and getting a rusty cut out working in the dirt. That's what I'm more worried about than anything else. Herbal remedies, okay, yeah, I mean, each to their own. Most kids are pretty resilient, honestly. I mean, how often did you really go through childhood? You got hurt, you got sick, you just recovered. All 3 of her children were breastfed until they were at least 3 years old, which the parent believes has given the kids a good, healthy foundation to become healthier in the future. Well, breastfeeding is fantastic. It's the best, if you can do it. I think our eldest was done to 3 years, a few of the others 1. It depends on the kid now. But don't feel guilty if you can't do it. Okay, don't feel guilty. The mothers will be bitches to each other, you know. Oh, you've got to do this, you've got to do that. Sure, it's the best thing, but if you can't do it, we've got formula. It saves lives. The biggest issue with formula is that the water that it's mixed with isn't clean enough. That's the big problem with it. It saves lives. But I remember this, I was listening to a podcast where a new mother just bottle fed the baby on formula for a week, and then her supply dried up. So you got to keep at it if you're breastfeeding. Don't stop. Do it as long as you can if you can do it. You know, why not? I remember they were saying we did this new dad's thing at the pub for the first kid, and they said, "Oh, you can breastfeed up to 3. Some cultures up to 5." And I'm going, "What? You don't need to feed them anything other than breast milk till they're 5? Cha-ching, savings!" Yeah, no, it's kind of like a snack. We've got our little one approaching 2. She's going, "Mum, milk," and she'll run around and eat anything and still demand booby. We'll see how long that lasts. I mean, their kids look fine and normal and happy. I mean, that's another thing of it too, not being institutionalized. We also don't use the education system. Instead, we unschool our kids. This means they have to show an interest in something for us to explore it with them, instead of following a curriculum and tell them what they are going to learn. Yeah, that makes sense. I mean, you find things that the children are interested in and double down on it, but you still need to teach reading and writing. You still need to teach mathematics. You still need to appreciate the fact that, I mean, they're kids. They can catch up a lot, okay, in primary school or later in life. It doesn't really matter that much. So I wouldn't be entirely worried about it. She said the couple believed in child autonomy and enabling children to take governance of their life, make their own choices, and decide what's going on in their life rather than dictating to them. I mean, that sounds nice, but you're parents. You're not their friends. You're their parents. You have a responsibility and duty of care to them. And sometimes a child isn't able to make up their mind, doesn't have the mental capacity to make the decisions that you as a parent are responsible to make. They defended her lifestyle, explaining that this doesn't mean no guidance, it just involves them in the decisions. The Allens don't believe that parents should decide what their kids do and instead allow their children to find what makes them happy and follow their lead. Well, what if they're doing... I bet you do you think they would structure the environment to guide the children to pick things they want? 100%. Adele claims that she's already seen the benefits of her family's practices in the interest that her children are finding. Instead of formal education, Ostara is giving sewing lessons for expressing an interest in craft. I mean, okay. They're doing beekeeping, fantastic. I mean, my daughter is sewing because my wife sews. That's what they learn. I'm trying to get them into game dev and programming. But they're just kids. Kids play. They want to play. They want to build cubby houses. My real concern is that, this is fantastic. The kids are playing, they're learning stuff, they're interested, is how much we load the curriculum up on. How much rubbish is in there. How much homework kids have out of primary school. We did one term at a local Catholic school, and Mina would come back with so much work to do at home. And I'm thinking, when I was in that grade in primary school, I would come home and play Nintendo. Or I'd go out and play with my friends. Or, we'd climb trees or we'd build cubby houses. It wouldn't be fretting over work. So, yeah, I think the balance has been lost a bit. What are they spending all day in school when they have to come home and do hours of homework? It's just nuts. Her daughter expressed an interest in sewing, so she's honing that skill, while her eldest is currently exploring his passion for animals and computers. We just follow their lead. If they want to do a club and try a new group for a little bit, we just provide that for them. The naturalist is confident her children will pick everything up they need to know, despite the fact people panic about her parenting methods because she doesn't force her children to learn to read and write. Yes, that's... They will pick it up eventually, but yeah, there's something nice about a 10-year-old who has developed a passion for reading and is just sitting on the couch devouring a book in a night. There's something encouraging about seeing that. Our son was 10 years old when he began taking an interest in wanting to read and write. He just picked up a pen and paper and taught himself. He wasn't bothered about us teaching him, she shared. Yeah, this is the thing. You can pick it up at that age. And some of the Scandinavian systems, they don't even go to school until they're 7. So the question is, are we going too young? You've got, early childhood education, if that's even warranted. It's just glorified babysitting. That's what it is. Here in Australia, they just want women working to get more taxes. And then the state can indoctrinate your kids. Language is all around them, so they're bound to pick it up. With them not being in a classroom setting, there isn't the pressure to do certain things by a certain age. The family shares insights into their unique way of life on Instagram and YouTube, where they have to defend themselves at times, but have cultivated a community of similar thinkers and interested viewers. So they're doing a family YouTubing thing. There you go, guys. I don't know if I could do that. To be on today's episode of Heise Family, Florian drives to buy more concrete and blend with the kids in the car. Yeah, that was me today. Watch the excitement as I get one extra bag because I paid for the expensive one, but one of the cheaper cement because it's going to be buried. How will he cope? The Allens are well aware of the criticisms that many people have about their lazy or cruel parenting techniques and lifestyles, but they argue that their ways are actually quite the opposite. The family doesn't like alarm clocks, so they rise naturally. Cook whenever the kids are hungry and actively encourage participation in the household chores, but don't demand them. Yeah, I hate getting up. I don't have an alarm clock. That's only when I need to. With most meetings, I don't have a commute anymore. I'm walking up the street now, and meetings are either later in the day or that type of thing. I do need to get the alarm clock back though. When I was doing the morning gym sessions and the morning programming, that was really good. I need to get back in that habit. I've fallen off the wagon, guys. And household chores, yeah, no, we do it as a household reset because there's so many of us. It's just, okay, at the end of the day, we clean the whole thing. But it's mandatory. We don't have any set limits on anything. However, we do have mutual agreements of respect, such as not being too loud when someone is sleeping at our shed. Wow. Well, yeah, no, I limit and control computer access and screen time and what content that they're on. Maybe the hippies don't understand what's out there on the internet. They describe their lifestyle as full on, asserting that not following a strict schedule allows every day to look different and forces them to monitor their children's health and emotions all day long until the kids send themselves to bed. Okay? We aren't just sending them off to school for teachers to deal with. We have to respond and adapt accordingly to how they're engaging, Adele says. Yeah, I mean, you know what's going on in your kids' lives when you're around them. I'm just listening now and hearing in the background they're doing something with my plywood. If they break some of that, it's expensive. She also noted that allowing the children to set their own schedules doesn't leave a lot of adult alone time. But this is how the Allens prefer it until their children become adults themselves. Yeah, okay. Well, now we know why they haven't had many kids. Probably not having much sex if they've, don't have any adult alone time. There you go. That explains the 4-year gaps. He's only getting it once every 4 years. That's mean. That's mean. I mean, we'll send the kids. Here's the thing. We'll send the kids to bed the latest at 8 o'clock, so we've got some time alone. Either to play a computer game or relax. And often I'll be going to bed at 8:30 because I'm so tired. That's it. I think, oh, yeah, I'll sit down. I've got this new Stellaris hat on. I'll play that, and I fall asleep. We don't want the kids to spend their life doing what other people are telling them to do. We want them to find their passion and not waste time in their life so they know who they are and by the time they get around to having kids. Okay, so let's have a talk about this one, guys. I think a lot of people are going to just see this and get outraged and angry because they're going against the norm. But honestly, I think the kids will be fine. I think there's a whole lot of overemphasis on institutionalizing children at a very young age and this perception that, they have to be early childhood educated. They need to go to childcare. They need to do this, and the other. And I think it's a bit overblown, honestly. I think a lot of it is just to get more women working so they get more tax fodder. That's what I suspect. Here they're being raised by their parents, they're being surrounded by their family, and they're adapting to the kids' needs. If the kids want to learn something, they'll learn something. You can't, they're going to learn to read and write, guaranteed. Once they start, if they're playing computer games or talking online or that type of stuff or want to play Minecraft, they'll learn to read and write there. I learned to spell playing Space Quest when I was a kid. Wanting to learn how to play those games. They'll find a way and they'll pick up an interest. So yeah, good on them. Let them do what they want. One argument I would put forward is that there is too much in our education curriculum. And there's not enough flexibility, and it's just so regimented, and young kids are coming home stressed, and they've got too much homework and not enough time to play. I think play, particularly in the first part of your life, is much more important than people realize. And it's one of the privileges we have these days now that we're in a modern civilization, that children aren't forced to work, that they can play. So good luck to them. I hope they'll all do well. I'm sure they'll be fine. And their kids will learn to read and write. What do you reckon, guys? As always, let me know your thoughts and opinions on this one. Thanks for sharing. Check out HeiseBim or Heise Does. And if you're a fan and enjoy the content I create here, you can support us on YouTube or Patreon, use our referral links, buy our pocket squares, or call us if you need an architect. Now I'm going to go and check outside to make sure the kids haven't destroyed all of the formwork and halls that we've dug, playing some crazy adventure. They probably have. Like the time I was a kid and we dug a pond in the backyard. It was just the dirt full of damp-proof course and mud.